saw him in his peripheral vision, made him shoot that shot a little hard.
2.5 to go. Long three on its way. And Trae Young, ice cold.
Guys, I'm just trying to make sure that everything that's happening right now is reality. Answer down in the comments if that actually just happened, because Trae Young was not supposed to do that to the Philadelphia 76ers. Look, I know Young struggled heavily for a majority of this game, but obviously the Atlanta Hawks are better with him on the floor. What I'm trying to say is the Atlanta Hawks had no business beating the Philadelphia 76ers. This past offseason, they made a lot of great moves. They were a fantastic regular season team. This team faced adversity. They bounced back. This team has been through so much that I found myself rooting for this 76ers team. And I also found myself rooting for Ben Simmons especially, but also Joel Embiid. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But somewhere along the lines, Ben Simmons became the villain. When NBA fans flip on you, they flip in a hurry. We saw it with Paul George. We saw it with a ton of other players, and now we're seeing it with Ben Simmons. He's now regarded as like one of the worst players to ever play the game of basketball. And while Ben Simmons struggled this series, that's just not an accurate depiction of how good or bad Ben Simmons is. Man, Trae Young is a fool. Look, I can't believe Trae Young had the audacity to shoot this three from nearly the logo and just drain it like that. Trae was cold. He was so cold this entire game. But just like Drew Holiday, he hit an ice cold shot despite not having the best shooting night. I mean, before he hit this shot, it seemed like Trae couldn't throw an ice cube in the ocean. Logo 3, everything on the line. Do you guys understand how much of a dog you have to be to even think about taking this shot? The result was beautiful, but man, shout out to Trae and his work ethic and having the confidence to pull from there in the first place. Right now, Trae isn't necessarily blowing people away with his three-point efficiency, but his range mixed with his in-between game is a killer. You throw in the refs in, look, I'm just joking, guys. It's just crazy how talented Trae is. As a coach, you can get your clipboard, you can draw up one high screen for Trae, and you can just watch the offense work. You could sit back in your chair, you could go get some popcorn. You know, you did your job. The offense is going to cook. Trae's going to make sure of it. Imagine being a big, having to pick Trae Young up 30 feet from the basket. If you somehow get over a screen set for Trae Young and you funnel him towards the basket, he's got one of the best floater games in the league. And guess what? If he's not feeling that and your team is overhelping, he's a top tier playmaker, one of the best passers in the game currently. And that's something that you can quote me on. Trae's came a long way from the summer league where basically nobody kept their same energy. Hey, if you know, you know. Trae was 3 of 20 at one point. At halftime, he was 1 of 12. My last video, we talked about mindset, and we're going to talk about it again this video because Ben Simmons just does not have the right mindset right now. From a playmaking standpoint, you can't replace what Ben Simmons brings to the table for the 76ers. I think you'd have to be silly to say the 76ers are immediately a better team without Ben Simmons and no other moves. The reality of things is that Ben Simmons impacts the game for the 76ers in ways that lead to winning. But in the playoffs, when you have teams that are going to scheme for you and focus on your weakness, at what point does that weakness start to outweigh all of the positive things that you bring to the floor? Now, we're going to continue this discussion on Ben Simmons because we have a lot to talk about. I just want to say that I love Trae Young, one of the best players in the game at this very moment. He gets a lot of foul calls. There's no other way to put it. At one point in this game, we saw Embiid intentionally get fouled and not get a call. The play is on the screen right now. You even see the Hawks players start to raise their hand like, yeah, I fouled Embiid. That was me. You're gonna call that one? Oh, you're not going to call that one. Great, let's keep hooping. You could tell that Embiid was visibly frustrated. Now, Embiid does have a reputation for flopping, and he does kind of have this reputation for embellishing contact. But it felt like this series, the Hawks got away with a lot of extracurricular activity on Joel Embiid. That being said, I can't believe he didn't get ejected last game. What in the world was this, guys? What? When I saw this, I was just like, Embiid is not serious right now. He's trolling. Props to John Collins for showing some restraint here. Shout out Embiid, man. Shout out Embiid. This guy really just wants to win. I remember one playoff series the 76ers lost, and, there were videos and pictures of Embiid crying after the series. This series, Embiid was obviously not 100%. He left it all on the floor. He came to play every possession. I really felt like he carried the 76ers, and to see the 76ers lose like this when I think the playoffs are wide open, it's brutal. This is a year where any of these remaining teams can end up being NBA champions. And I truly believe that. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you have to look in the mirror and you have to say, if not this year, then when? If Ben and Embiid couldn't get it done this year, then when is it going to be our time? And I'm not blaming this series on Embiid at all. But at some point, you have to look at this duo and you have to question if it's time for a change. Joel Embiid deserves better. On paper, this series should have been a sweep. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. If you're Philly, you like what Maxey showed you, you like that your experienced team has young talent, but you have to hate the result of the season. Where do you go from here? Yes, Ben's a great passer, phenomenal defender, doesn't get enough credit for how hard he made life for Trae Young. But unfortunately, I feel like we're at the point where the 76ers have to make a tough choice. Does it make sense to run things back again? Now, we've seen Embiid publicly voice his frustration with Ben before. Even if Embiid wasn't completely direct, it was obvious who his comments were directed to. Embiid's gone on record and basically said, well, I need better spacing. I need guys to be threats. I need guys that want to shoot the ball. Ben Simmons, for whatever reason, doesn't like shooting. In the summer league, he shot. I'm not going to say he was a great shooter, but at least he shot the ball. In college at LSU, he would occasionally shoot. Again, he wasn't a lights out shooter, but the point is that he would shoot the ball. I know Ben has his reservations about shooting, but unfortunately his reservations have put the 76ers in a tough place. If the 76ers aren't giving up on Ben, you have to find a coach that's going to make Ben more of a threat in the half court in another way, other than shooting the ball if he still refuses to shoot. But more importantly, I think you need a coach that's going to make Ben shoot the ball. Let Ben know that if you don't shoot the ball, we're going to bench you. I think the perfect time to hammer out this shooting the ball stuff was before his previous contract extension. The 76ers could have let Ben know, like, if you're trying to earn this max, we want you to shoot the ball. It's nothing against you. We just want you to be the best you possible. And obviously, if the 76ers didn't want to max Ben, other teams would have maxed him. And I think there are still teams today that would max Ben, but I'm sure you guys get my point. Fortunately for the 76ers, Fred Vinson has done a great job in New Orleans. He completely reworked Lonzo's shot, and he also made Brandon Ingram a much more viable threat from beyond the arc. Philadelphia has to open its checkbook and get him working with Ben at all costs. If it's Fred Vinson, if it's Lethal Shooter, if it's the shooting coach that works out at your local high school gym, I don't care who it is. Ben's got to get in the gym and he's got to put in work with somebody this offseason. Because 9.9 points per game from your second best player and 32% from the free throw line from your second best player in a full series is not going to cut it. Let me know what you guys think about Ben passing the ball on this play. Ben said, I just assumed Gallo was coming up on my back and then Collins moved out, and so naturally he passed the ball. And if you think that the fans have been hard on Ben, finally we have Doc Rivers maybe flipping the switch for Ben Simmons. Doc Rivers was asked if Ben Simmons could be the starting point guard on a championship team. Doc Rivers said, I don't know the answer to that. We could possibly be looking at the Philadelphia 76ers, not necessarily blowing it up, but facing drastic changes this offseason. Coming from your head coach, that's a tough quote, but if you ask me, I think Ben needed tough love all along. I want to know right now in the comments if you guys feel like Ben Simmons is done with the Philadelphia 76ers after that quote from Doc Rivers. If you ask me, I just think it's funny that the Clippers are in the Western Conference Finals and the Philadelphia 76ers just got eliminated. Doc Rivers is looking kind of funny in that light. I can't understand why the 76ers didn't just go big and attack Trae Young every play. They are a long team, a lot of big players, a lot of versatile players. Your point guard is 6'9". Get Trae Young in the action and make him defend every play. Don't understand why they didn't do that, but I'm not a head coach, so who knows? Also, man, Dwight Howard played too long tonight. Does Doc Rivers need to get fired? My answer is going to be yes. It's been done in Philly. Does Embiid possibly want out? Can we see the Philadelphia 76ers imploding right before our very eyes? Shout out to Wetter and Gallo. Can the Atlanta Hawks win a championship in upcoming seasons? How good is this team? Is Trae Young now a superstar in your eyes? Let me know in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm Get Like Coop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.